Today we're diving into a creepy topic, the Ebola virus. At this moment, her colleague Peter jumps in, saying, Ebola. No, we haven't seen that in America. Those monkeys. Turns out those monkey organs were samples for Peter's research from Hazelton. Peter's research is ironic. This morning, Nancy arrives at the office, sees a package, and curiously opens it. What? Inside, organs are clotted, like a botched science experiment lunch. This meant those monkeys caught quite the nasty virus, so she hurried off with her art pieces to the level 4 lab to confirm the situation. But what Nancy didn't know was that Peter thought she was overreacting and didn't take her seriously. He just grabbed some monkey hemorrhagic fever reagent to do a quick test. He even asked unsuspecting Black to sniff it. Seeing Nancy's confidence, he's trembling inside. Of course, he instinctively denies it's Ebola, but inside he's freaking out. The boss knows that without solid evidence, society would go haywire like a spilled spice jar. Nancy wanted to re-enter the lab for confirmation, but recent emergencies put a damper on her plans. All samples were ruined during sterilization. With no other option, Nancy drove to Hazelton Institute that night, finally convincing the animal supervisor. She successfully got 2 virus-infected dead monkeys, but the supervisor had no clue how serious. Not a single protective measure, just a plastic bag. Is the supervisor trying to be funny? Nancy loaded the monkey bodies into her car, thinking she better hurry before they thaw out. Turns out, on the way back, she hit traffic, and the supervisor behind her started honking like crazy. Nancy heard it and quickly jumped out to check. She found the monkey bodies in the trunk leaking blood onto the street. Oh no, this is a big deal. If she didn't act fast, the consequences would be dire. Without hesitation, Nancy ripped off the gas line, pretending her car broke down. She rushed to a nearby grocery store for disinfecting supplies, hoping to clean up the blood before the cops showed up, and then bagged the monkeys up with new plastic. Back at the research center, Nancy rushed to enter the level 4 lab for testing. Worst timing, but she found her access cancelled. Fortunately, at this moment, a terrified Peter showed up. He also wanted to confirm whether the monkeys had Ebola and opened the lab door with his access card. Soon, they sampled the monkeys and dropped in antibodies. Oh my gosh. Serum turned fluorescent green in an instant, and Peter's face lost all its color as swiftly as a painter's palette could blend hues. He started babbling incoherently, panicking inside, while Nancy kept her cool and reacted quickly. They checked each other's protective gear for any damage and confirmed safety, then immediately notified Colonel Tucker, the base head, and sent out the Ebola report. They faxed the report to Carter, Nancy's mentor, who first discovered Ebola. This is based on a true story turned into the series The Blood, catapulting us to 1989. Back then, there were hardly any experts on the Ebola virus, and the U.S. had zero experience dealing with viral outbreaks. So Nancy's first call was to Carter, and their top priority was dealing with those monkeys. They decided to head to Hazelton to put all the virus-infected monkeys to sleep. They planned to disinfect the monkey house thoroughly to prevent further viral spread. Hazelton is a private facility, and without authorization, the military can't just waltz in. What a hassle. The supervisor, Red, had no clue how dangerous Ebola was, and even blamed Nancy for taking the monkey bodies last night. Most people are already in disarray, and in just 8 days, there's no medical assistance and no vaccine. By this point, Red finally realized how serious it was. Though he couldn't make major decisions, at least he could let Nancy into the monkey house, letting her check for any remaining infected monkeys and personnel. Meanwhile, Peter, who had been in close contact with the Ebola virus, hadn't told a soul. He even visited an unregistered clinic to ask a nurse about drawing blood. He planned to sneak a blood test in the lab, while his buddy Black, who'd also been exposed to Ebola, was happily camping with his family. Completely unaware he might have caught Ebola and potentially spreading it to his wife and kids. It wasn't until the next day, back at work, that he learned from Peter that the stuff he sniffed was actually the Ebola virus. Black was terrified upon hearing the news, thinking, oh no, if I caught Ebola, my wife and kids are done for. He couldn't bear to think deeper and was about to report, but was stopped by Peter's sweet talk. Peter feared reporting it would quarantine him, and everyone had met. Party over. So Black followed Peter's lead and decided to draw blood for testing every day. Meanwhile, Red prepped his staff in advance to avoid any panic. Using routine disinfection as an excuse, he let Nancy and Carter into the virus zone. The shadows linger. They wrapped up the last infected monkey, and once Nancy left, Carter sneaked back into the monkey house for a look at the unaffected areas, only to find that the virus had spread throughout the entire facility. But there were over 500 monkeys here. Nancy and Carter couldn't handle it alone, so they quickly reported to superiors, demanding support and notifying WHO and the CDC. While there were still no infections among personnel, they needed to send in a team for complete disinfection and handling, or it would be too late.